Welcome to this explainer. Today, we are tackling a feeling I know we're all way too familiar with. That heavy, totally overwhelming sense of mental clutter. You know the exact feeling, right? Your mind is just buzzing with tasks, chores, big projects, tiny errands, all swirling together into this giant, stressful cloud of anxiety. But hey, what if your brain isn't broken? And what if you aren't actually bad at managing your time? What if the problem is literally just how you're treating your own mind? Today, we're unpacking some absolutely fascinating concepts from the Getting Things Done methodology, and we're going to learn how to finally clear out that mental clutter for good.
Okay, let's dive into this because this is where the chaos really starts. Just picture your average morning. You're sitting there trying to focus on a super critical work email, but out of nowhere, your brain just shouts, "Hey, did I leave the coffee maker on?" Then, while you're mentally checking the coffee maker, boom, you suddenly remember you need to schedule a dentist appointment. Oh, and wait, someone's birthday's coming up, right? This rapid-fire mental ping-pong is exactly why your brain feels so completely full and overwhelmed all the time. You're running at top speed, yet you feel like you're constantly dropping the ball. The agitation builds, the stress spikes, and suddenly you can't even focus on that one single email sitting right in front of you. So, why exactly does our mental machinery hijack us like this?
Well, to understand why this happens, we have to look at Section 1, the problem of open loops and the burden of unfinished tasks. This foundational concept from the Getting Things Done, or GTD methodology, gives us a very specific, structural name for that exact feeling of anxiety and mental burden we were just talking about. Meet the ultimate villain of our explainer today, the open loop. Basically, an open loop is any unfinished task or looming responsibility that's taking up mental space. Every single time you tell yourself, "Oh, I really need to remember to do that later," guess what? You've just created an open loop. And here's the really insidious part about them. These loops don't just sit quietly in the background. No, they actively create stress and significantly reduce your ability to focus on the present moment. They're literally like having a dozen different browser tabs open in your brain, silently draining your battery and slowing down your whole operating system. Now, what's super interesting here is how this exposes a pretty major flaw in human cognition. To your conscious mind, applying to university is obviously this massive life-altering event, right? While picking up a pack of blue pens is just a totally trivial errand. But to the primitive, alert system of your brain, there is no difference. They are exactly the same. They're both just open loops. Your brain doesn't naturally prioritize the scale or importance of these tasks when it decides to remind you about them at 3 in the morning. A high-stakes responsibility and a mundane household chore take up the exact same amount of mental bandwidth, and they cause the exact same type of distraction. Crazy, right? So how do we actually fix this? That brings us to Section 2, processor, not storage device, and shifting the paradigm. Because we really need to stop using our minds for a job they were honestly never designed to do. And this brilliantly illustrates the core technological metaphor at the heart of the GTD method. Your brain is a processing tool, not a storage database. Really let that sink in for a second. Your mind is an absolute marvel when it comes to processing information, generating creative ideas, solving complex problems, and just being present in the moment. But it is a terrible, terrible storage database. Think of it like a computer's RAM versus its hard drive. RAM is for active thinking and processing. It's fast, it's dynamic. But if you try to use your RAM to permanently store all your files, the whole system just crashes. When you try to use your brain to hold on to lists and tasks and random reminders, you are basically misusing the most advanced piece of hardware in the universe. Our source material points out exactly what happens when we insist on using our brains as a storage device. First off, it causes acute psychological stress. You know that low-level humming anxiety in the background of your life? Yeah, that is the stress of trying not to forget things. Second, you get reduced focus. You literally cannot concentrate on the task in front of you because a huge chunk of your mental energy is busy holding on to all those open loops. And finally, ironically enough, it leads to an inability to actually complete your objectives. By trying to keep everything up in your head, you're pretty much ensuring that very little actually gets done. All right, enough about the problem. Let's move over to Section 3, executing the mind sweep, a 5-minute solution. It is time to stop the mental bleeding and actually regain control. 100. This is the magic number. The source material emphasizes that to truly fix this problem and eliminate all that psychological stress, you have to externalize exactly 100% of your commitments. Not 80%, not 95%, 100%. Every single thing that has your attention must be taken completely out of your head and placed into a reliable tracking system. Because if your brain even slightly suspects that you're hiding a few tasks in your mental memory, it'll refuse to let go, and that stress is just going to stick around. You absolutely have to capture it all.
Okay, so here is how you actually do it, broken down into 3 incredibly accessible steps right from the source. They call this the mind sweep. Step 1, spend just 5 minutes. That is literally all it takes to start. Step 2, write down every single thing that has your attention, and I mean everything. The massive work projects, the university applications, right down to buying new pens or, fixing that squeaky hinge on the back door. Do not filter, do not judge, just dump it all out. And step 3, transfer all of this onto paper or into a trusted digital list. The medium honestly doesn't matter at all. What matters is that it's outside of your head and living in a reliable system that you know for a fact you will look at later. You are physically taking the data out of the processor and saving it onto the hard drive.
And once you physically write down every last open loop, you reach section 4, achieving mind like water, the ultimate payoff. The chaos stops, the buzzing fades, and you can finally take a deep breath.
The GTD method defines mind like water as a focused state of calm readiness, which you achieve by clearing all that mental clutter. Imagine a completely still pond. If you toss in a pebble, the water reacts appropriately to the exact size and force of that pebble, right? And then it just returns to calm. It doesn't overreact, it doesn't underreact. When your mind is completely clear of all those open loops, you achieve this exact state of readiness. You can react to a new email, a sudden crisis, or even just a brilliant new idea with perfect focused clarity, without constantly being dragged down by the undertow of forgotten chores.
So the crucial point is really this simple inverse equation. More mental clutter directly results in less work getting done. And it's not just a feeling either. It's a mechanical reality of how human attention actually works. Every single ounce of mental energy you spend holding onto a task is an ounce of energy you literally cannot spend executing that task.
I want to share this exact quote directly from our source material because it really just hits the nail on the head. There is an inverse relationship between things on your mind and those things getting done. It's just a mathematical reality. If you want your productivity and your peace of mind to go up, the inventory of items stored in your active memory absolutely must go down to 0. You have to sweep the mind.
So I'm going to leave you with this final, somewhat provocative question. Think about your own brain right at this exact moment. What is the very first open loop, that annoying, nagging little reminder that just popped into your head? Seriously, don't let it sit there draining your battery anymore. What is the first open loop you need to write down right now so you can start achieving your own cognitive clarity? Grab a piece of paper and take your brain back.